Welcome everybody to Panfish Nation. Along with Mark, I'm Lyle, and Mark, we have a great guest tonight. We're going to talk about crappie fishing, the state of Texas, with Caleb Hensley. So I'm kind of anxious for this. What do you say we get in here and get all the people that's in chat announced and get right to it?
Absolutely. You know, I love crappie fishing. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
One thing first, I hope
Sure.
that you're feeling a little bit better. It's rare that you miss a show on Monday night, and I knew you was down. And I'm so glad that you made it to help me do this tonight because we're going to have a great time.
I wouldn't miss this one for the world. I'm not 100% yet, but we're going to make it through this. I like this show too much to miss it. Not that I don't like mine, but Monday was a lot rougher than I was today. I'm doing better. And I took that dreaded C test and it came up negative, so I feel a little better.
Excellent news.
Everybody, I'm getting all sorts of like prayers and stuff from everybody and good wishes and kind words and that, and almost to the point of feeling guilty, like I'm not really that sick. I just couldn't talk on Monday, you know. But you know, I'm grateful for every one of them. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
For your wishes. So let me say hello to everybody. I see my sister. There she is. A couple of crosses fishing. What's up, Betty? How you doing, dear?
Oh,
I see Amy Evans in the house. I see CVA, Central Valley Adventures. What's going on, Chrissy Brown? Going to see her in less than 10 days, I think. Looking forward to that. There's Dan Thompson. There's Dennis Graham, crappie fishing. How you doing, bud? We see fishing for whiskers. I see Frontline Flatheads in the house. Future Mrs. 903 fishing.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Oh, do you know anything about that, Caleb?
Oh, I do.
Oh, very nice.
Well, welcome to the show, Miss Future. How you doing? There's Hooks and Hammocks. He got a big old blue cat this week. Congratulations on that. It was a big one. Watch his video. Go check it out. I don't want to spoil the weight on it for you guys. James Kirkpatrick in the house. I see Jared O. I see Johnny Ramsey. I think that's a new one. What's going on, Johnny? How you doing? Joy Stewart in the house. Miss the great Kim Burnett. How you doing, Kim? Lance McCouguy. What's up, Lance? Local Life Outdoors. There's a new one. Mike Irvin. What's up, Michael? How you doing? Real and Virtual Outdoors. Hey, Troy. I see Stephanie over at Real Gals Fish the Mississippi. That's a mouthful, but I keep trying to get that one right. I see Sean Chili in the house. There's Josh over at the Weekend Angler. Mr. Tim Molina. There's Matt over at Want to Be Outdoors. There's Mr. Pork Chop, William Warner. I've seen some people come in here. Let's see if I can pick him out. There's Cody Robinson. He's been on the Flatheads last week, I believe. I see Crappie Hunter 3. Downey's Tackle in the house. What's going on, Josh? Fishing for Whiskers. How you doing, Rhonda? Let's see. Miss Future again. Jay Fox Hunter. Jared O. They keep piling in here. It's hard to keep up with them. Let's see. I think I got everybody. If we missed you, I apologize. We'll try and get you a shout out during the show.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get right into the meat of this because we got a guy on here tonight, Mark, that does a lot of really good crappie videos. So we need to find out where he fishes, how he catches them, all that good stuff. Welcome, Caleb.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. I watch a lot of your videos. In fact, most of them, unless I miss a notification, which you know how YouTube is about that. But so far they've been pretty good. And we was talking before the show, and you do a lot of creek bank fishing in some out of the way places, and I really enjoy those type of videos. I enjoy the ones when you're in the boat too, because you're catching fish. But those ones when you're walking up and down the bank, that's kind of reminds me of the days back when I was a kid, many years ago, and I used to do that. You know.
Oh yeah.
So, what kind of places are you looking for when you go find these fish like that?
Well, when it comes to crappie, you know, I tell everybody, I say you need to look for those northern creeks and rivers that come into your lakes, or the western side. For some reason, I've learned through experience that a lot of crappie fish in general will go north to spawn. Okay, but those crappie really love those northern rivers and creeks or western sides. So I try my best just to go fish it. A lot of the places that I fish are just simply overlooked by people. They don't they cross over the bridge. They may look, and it just looks like, you know, there may not be no fish in there, but you never know until you actually go fish. So a lot of those places, I believe, are almost somewhat untouched. So when I do get in there and I do walk the banks, I mean, it's just game on when it comes to those crappie.
How do you gain access to those places? Do people just you have to get permission, or where you're at, if you go through a place, are you allowed to walk up and down the banks? How's that work?
Well, I'm in rural East Texas, so a lot of this is public land. Now there are, of course, in Texas, I don't know how it is where y'all are, but if you see purple paint, all right. Now, of course,
you can't go.
Of course, a no trespassing sign is obvious, number one. Right. But in Texas, a lot of people use that purple paint to mark off private land from public land. Mm-hmm. There may not be a fence necessarily. There may just be a row of trees that have purple paint on them, and that basically lets you know you need to stay off that land. And I basically just walk until I can't walk no more. I've walked miles before, miles in a day. I've had to get on my phone and look at which direction that I need to go, because I just get turned around. But I just walk until I can't walk no more.
And then crawl back, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, walking through the briars, walking through the sticks. I mean, I've gotten ran off by hogs before. I mean, it's just
wild hogs or people's hogs they raise.
Oh, wild hogs for sure.
Yeah, you guys got them down there.
Oh man, they're everywhere. I've walked on some hogs before, and I just took off running.
Any rattlesnakes in your part of Texas?
There may be a few, but I think I'm more on the, I think that's more western you go.
West, yeah.
The more likely you'll see some rattlesnakes. But our thing down here is water moskins. I mean,
I don't like that either.
We have water moskins as big as my arm down here. So,
fishing for whiskers, that's good. He says, do you mind me saying Jody has 2 open spots for tonight's Flathead Challenge? Anyone can enter. Contact her if you want to enter. So that'll be coming on directly after our show, if I am not mistaken. Isn't that right, Mark?
That's absolutely right.
I thought so. Alicia Burnett says, hello, Caleb. I'm so excited to see you here. I've been waiting for Thursday ever since I found out. Sounds like Alicia is a huge fan.
She's been on the channel. I went live last night thanking everybody for the 20,000 subscribers, and I let them know that I was going to be a guest on here. So I tried to send, my people your way as well. So I see quite a bit of my regulars on here. So that's great, for the support. That's great to see the support, and I'm trying to turn them on to you guys as well.
Well, we appreciate it, and congratulations. 20,000 subs is a huge milestone.
Thank you.
That is impressive. Good for you, and you put out a lot of good quality content. So, way to grind it out, because we know that it's a lot of work to get those kind of numbers.
It is a grind.
Good for you. So, these creeks that you're on, what kind of depths are we looking at? What are the bottoms looking like? Stuff like that. Can you give us a little more specifics?
Well, the main thing that I try to look for when I fish in a creek is structure. A lot of the creeks down here, they're pretty narrow. So when they get a lot of rain, water is powerful. So they will push logs and structure. Sometimes they get clumped up. So I like to look for log jams. And I mean, there's a specific creek that I like to fish. It's not but about, 15 foot wide, but there is a big log jam dead center in the middle. And the average depth of that creek is probably 3 foot deep, but there's a log jam in a bend of that creek. And it's probably about 6 to 8 feet right in that log jam. And when that water gets high enough, those crappie will come up, and crappie like to sit in deeper holes. And of course they love the structure. So they find the structure, they find the deeper water. They'll come out in the evenings, in the morning, chase bait, and then they'll go back into that deeper hole. So that's what I try to look for. I mainly fish with slip corks in the creek. So fishing with a slip cork, I can really determine the depths.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm fishing at 6 foot deep and I throw out that slip cork and that slip cork is laying flat, then I know it's not that deep right there. So I'll go a little shallower or deeper if I need to. But I try to look for bends and structure. Fish, crappie just love to hang around those bends and, of course, structure. It doesn't matter if you're fishing for crappie a foot deep or 25 foot deep. Crappie want to feel protected. They want to feel like, you know, they have protection if a predator fish happens to try to get them.
Yeah, we don't have creeks like that where I fish, but we do have channels, and they love those corners, which pretty much is a bend in the channel. So
Yep.
they love hiding in that stuff for some reason. I've definitely noticed that. So
That's it.
You have one creek that is in a bend, and it's not a real wide creek that you're fishing, but it's got a lot of wood in it.
Mm-hmm.
And crappie love wood.
They do. I'm telling you.
They just do.
They do.
And you pulled out some giants out of that spot.
I'm trying to think. Was that the railroad trestle?
I believe it's right below it.
Yeah.
I believe. But, yeah, that's or above it. However, the creek
Right.
lies. I've never seen any current in it or anything, but I think it was last fall you might have been fishing at the show that I remember. And it looked to be, 12 to 15-inch crappie coming out of there almost every time.
Oh, yeah.
It was giants.
Texas has some decent crappie. It really does.
Now, are you close to any of the big lakes like Fork or any of those?
Let me see. I primarily fish Lake Palestine and Lake Tyler.
Okay.
Fork is about an hour and 20 minutes north of me. It's not far at all. Sam Rayburn is also a great crappie lake. I have a video off there. Went fishing with a subscriber down there last summer. It was 105 degrees, I believe. And we pulled out 48, fishing about.
And 105-degree day, you pulled out that many fish?
Oh, yes, sir.
That's insane.
Fishing 20 to 25 feet. Fish were suspended about 16, 17 foot on stumps. So, I mean, whew, I like it. I love it. I mean,
Who don't?
I know a lot of people that won't fish, when it's that hot. But in Texas, in the summertime, you almost have no choice. I mean, either go fish when it's 100 degrees or don't. And
Stay home.
I love to fish. Hey, as long as you stay hydrated, you'll be fine.
That's kind of like me and ice fishing. I hate ice fishing, but I love to fish, so I ice fish. I ain't gonna lie.
See, I feel the same. I feel the same way. I don't want to fish in no ice. I don't want to drill no hole in no ice.
I ain't doing
it. That's just me, though. That's just me.
You probably ain't never seen ice you got to drill through, have you?
No, never. Never.
Let me say hello to a couple of people that just came in here. I do see Alicia just came in. What's up, Alicia? I see Avid come in. How you doing? Crappie Day Fish On. What's up, my friend? There's Matt over at Want to Be Outdoors. We can't forget our buddy Frank over at Twisted Fishing TV. I see Don R in here. We got a new one, I think, Local Life Outdoors. If I said hello to you once and I'm saying to you a second time, forgive me, but I'd rather do that than miss you. We got a Ray Smith in there. There's a new one to us. How you doing, Ray? Thanks for checking it out. And Gene Tillman. I see Jay Fox Hunter. He's a great fan. And I do see Lynn over at Catfish Fever and Outdoors. Hope that and Brad Caudill. What's going on, Brad? How you doing, bud? Mike Zampy and Lance McCouguy. What's up, Lance? Yep. And James Albo. James is mean. You got to watch him, Caleb.
Yeah, you do.
Turn your back on James. Turn your back on James. Crappie Hunter 3 says the slip cork on a log is killer. So when you're fishing heavy jams or heavy log piles like that, are you using weedless jigs? How are you getting your baits in there and not getting caught?
Very, very carefully. That one log jam that I had talked about, I either fish it with a slip cork and minnow, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I get hung up a lot. Now, I say this in one of my videos, you really have to take mental note on when you do get hung up, you can't let that minnow drift to a certain point. But it's that's just part of fishing a log jam.
Yeah, that's what I tell I say, Mark, don't do that again. Pretty much.
Yeah. You're gonna lose baits. You're gonna lose jig heads. I mean, it's just part of it. But it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
You ever use those light wire hooks, the ones you can pretty much bend and get back and bend them back?
Now, is another word for those red hooks? Are they red?
I don't know if that's what they're called, but here in Illinois, we call them just the light wire hooks. They're super thin, and if you get caught up in a log jam, if you're using like 10 pound braid or something, you can get them out easily and bend them right back. I've tried those.
We have I use the Eagle Claw red hooks, either 1/16 or 1/8. Those red hooks tend to bend out, and a lot of people give me flack for using 10-pound braid while I'm crappie fishing, because a lot of people think, oh, it's a panfish, you need to use 4 to 6 pound mono and this and that. But with my slip cork setup, I've explained a million times, I use 10-pound braid with a barrel swivel connected with 8 to 10 pound mono. So when I do get hung up, because it's going to happen eventually, when I do get hung up and pull that, it just breaks off the leader. So all you have to re-rig is the mono leader and the hook, or the mono leader and the jig head. So fishing that heavy cover like that, in my opinion, braid is very necessary. If I was to use 4 to 6 or 8 pound mono every time, if I get hung up, I'm losing everything every time.
Now, is there any advantage to using a swivel rather than tying directly on? Let's say like a mono to braid type knot, like an all braid or something.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never done it.
Okay.
I've just never had any experience with that. I started using a barrel swivel, and it works for me, and I've stuck with it.
Trust me, I was like that for the longest time up until like a year ago.
Right.
So, I was just wondering if maybe I'm missing something. So,
what size barrel swivel are you using, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it's not a very big barrel swivel. I actually just bought it.
That's what I was wondering about. If it was so small, I'd have trouble seeing the holes in it.
I'm the same way.
I don't have that trouble yet. I don't have that trouble yet. All right.
I understand.
I hope you never do, Caleb. I hope you never do.
Yeah, me too.
Especially when you're out ice fishing, it's hard when you can't see and you can't move your fingers at the same time. That really doubles it up. So, in your experience, does it work the same way catfishing does? Where I do a lot of flathead fishing, and when I'm looking for log jams, I'm looking for old log jams. I'm looking for growth on the wood, because of that whole food chain thing where the minnows come in to feed on it, the shad or whatever, the bigger fish and so on. Is that the same thing with crappie in those creeks? Have you noticed a difference, or do they just gravitate to cover in general?
Yes. I mean, I've always heard, I haven't experienced this one. I want to. I'm actually going to, but people drop brush in the lake, and I've heard of people coming back 2 hours later, there's fish on. Crappie. So I mean, I don't know what it is. They know it's there. They gravitate to it, like you said. So I mean, I have fished creeks before. Come back the next week, a new tree in the water. There's fish on it. There's crappie on it. It wasn't there a week ago, but a storm rolled through, heavy rain, some wind, new tree in the water, and there is crappie on it.
Now, are there a lot of people dropping brush piles in where you fish?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
and of course, everybody thinks they're theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, it's everybody's, but we're not going to get into that argument today.
Right. I hear you.
Here's a great comment. Frank at Twisted Fishing TV says, a lot of cussing when I try to tie one of them 11-pound micro quick clips. Yeah, I can see that, because 11 is pretty small, I think.
Yeah, those are tiny. I don't mess with anything smaller than like a 6.
Yeah. Johnny Ramsey says, I'm hoping to use some of the stuff I have learned from Caleb to get the job done tomorrow. Heck yeah.
I don't know if y'all could see that.
Let me give you full screen, buddy.
This is what I use right here. This
Oh, so that's still a pretty
Oh, that's
decent
not that
size.
bad.
no, it's not tiny. It's not tiny.
Yeah, I
I
could
believe
do
it's
that.
a 5. I want to say it's a 5. Maybe.
Yeah, that looks about a 5.
About a
When I'm
5.
tying on for like stock or trout, I'm using like 12s. Oh my goodness,
Oh
they're
wow.
horrible, but they'll make it through the
Wow.
eyes on my rod, so I'm not. That isn't too bad.
Yeah. Betty with a couple crossed fishing says, let's talk current seams. What's your experience while fishing them in the creeks versus structure?
Are you targeting current seams? Or are you basically looking for structure, Caleb?
Well, I'm looking for slack water.
Slack water. Okay.
I've never heard of the term current seams. I'm assuming that's just current, correct? I mean,
That's bigger river water talk. That's
Yeah.
river talk.
yeah, I've never heard of that term before, but crappie don't like current.
No, and they'll sit out. At least my experience here, and our river crappie are small over here for a bunch of reasons. But they'll sit in that slower slack current, right where the seam is, where the faster current is, waiting
Right.
for stuff to fall out. So it's usually pretty productive where I fish. Except we don't have that big. Our river crappies are small over here.
Right. Yeah, crappie they tend to go towards that slack water, kind of like you said. The especially if a big tree in the water, they'll be sitting right on the opposite side of the current, just right in that little slack water pocket.
Now you had mentioned when you were fishing it at 105 degrees, you were finding them in pretty deep water. How are you going after crappie that are hunkered down that deep?
Okay, so a lot of y'all know the big thing right now is live scope.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use live scope. I have basically based my channel on catching crappie without live scope. Live scope is a great tool. I have nothing against it. I have used it in the past with buddies and in tournaments, but I just simply can't afford it. I don't think your average fisherman can. So I want to show people how to catch crappie without, all the fancy equipment. But what I do is I find brush piles with size scan or down scan, and I throw buoy markers out. And I have slip corked crappie in 30 foot of water. I mean, I'm fishing 30 foot of water. I'm catching crappie 25 foot down. There's Brandon's, comment about my slip cork setup. But I'm majority slip corking with live minnows. That is what I'm doing.
I use a lot of floats too. That's how I was brought up. That's how I learned.
Mhm.
I get into some of the other stuff a little hotter in the year. Here, our lakes aren't that deep. I catch a lot of my crappie like 7 to 10 feet of water, and I'll use like little 2-inch paddle baits, like a Charlie Bluer. What are they, 2 1/4 inch or something like that?
I believe
That's
so.
only if they're sitting really high in the water column. But other than that, I'm throwing plastics or minnows underneath a float. So
you talk about crappies 95 degrees. When it's 95 degrees, and if I'm going to be out, we have a top that goes on our boat that fastens to the front of the windshield, and it provides shade because a lot of times there is no shade.
You know what I use? A big old straw hat.
I've got one of those wide ones
About that
I
wide.
wear too. Yeah, Cindy and I both have one, and we wear them religiously. So yeah, slip corking is one of my favorite ways to catch all kinds of panfish. I like to use them for bluegill. I like to use them for crappie and any other kind. But right now, all the fish I'm catching is way down deep. Well, I'm fishing shallow water, but they're rich off the bottom. So we're just dropping stuff down that hits the bottom, reeling up about a half a crank, and just sit there and teasing them. So, but I'll get into more of that here towards the end of the show. Talk about my adventures of the week. A lot of people coming in here. We got a big crowd in here tonight.
we do.
So very pleased to see everybody come in here and visit with our great guests. And if you like what we're doing on Panfish Nation. Please like the show. That's how we know that we're getting the guests that you people want to see, and it don't get a whole lot better than the guy that we have tonight. And if you like our content, please subscribe, because it's important to us to get more subscribers. That way we can get closer to the top of the page when people search for panfish things. And there's Patriot James, Catfishers of America. Glad to see you in here, my friend. There was somebody else that I wanted to mention.
I see Irvin DePay.
Yeah,
what's going on, Irvin? How you doing?
Apache Adventures. Just getting them in here. It's great to see all you guys in here, because, like I say, Caleb he's got a great channel. I don't know, how did you start your channel, Caleb, with YouTube?
Well, I started May 13th of 2020, to be exact. I'm actually coming up on 2 years on YouTube. And I had a lot of family and friends saying that I should start recording myself fishing. And I started off on Facebook, actually, just going live, fishing a little bit, setting up my phone wherever I could on the boat. And eventually I decided one day to go buy a GoPro. And ever since I've gotten that GoPro, I've started putting out one video a week. I've put out one video a week for almost 24 months straight.
That's awesome.
And I go live on the channel every Sunday, 8 o'clock, just like you guys do. Come on here, talk about fishing, crappie fishing, just fishing in general. And my main purpose of the channel is just to help people catch fish and catch more fish.
That's the whole thing.
You know, Caleb, Sunday's my kind of internet day off, but I ain't gonna lie, I'll tune in and I'll watch your show in the background a lot.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was in there with you as live the other night, and for just a minute, and it's very knowledgeable. If you're looking for content to tell you how to catch more crappie, that's a great place to go to find it, because he don't pull no punches. He shares everything that he does when he's catching the fish and tells you exactly how he's doing it. And that's how you learn things. Brad Caudell, I'm glad that you're having success with those jigs. Thanks a lot.
Crappie Hunter 3 says, I learned how to use a float and a jig on 903 fishing. I caught the biggest crappie I ever caught, 2.8 pounds.
Ooh, smoking hot.
Yeah, that was that's about a week ago. He let me know. And you know what I find weird, guys, is I've had both ends of the spectrum. And I told my following this the other day. I've had people that tell me they've never seen a jig under a slip bobber. But then I've had the other end say, well, I've been using this technique for 40 years, 40 plus years. So I think it's amazing just, you know, who you're reaching. You know, you have experienced fishermen, and then you have the beginner fishermen that just don't know much and wants to learn more. And I mean, I think, you know, the channel really goes to both of those.
Yeah, and you definitely have a good balance there. It's a hard act being a creator myself. It's hard not to talk over some people's heads without talking beneath others, right. And it takes a lot of practice, and you really got to listen to what your fans are telling you, or your subscribers or viewers, whatever you want to call them. And you do a real good job. So mega kudos to you. You got like a special show coming up where you're going to celebrate your 20,000K subscribers. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm going live on the channel just like I normally would on Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. However, to celebrate and for me to give back to my subscribers, to thank, I'm giving away an 8-foot ACC crappie sticks. I'm also going to be giving away some Dead River baits, some jigs that I use a lot of the times on the channel, and a few other items. I've always been the one to be, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for my subscribers. Like 903 Fishing wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the subscribers. So I always like to give back to my 903 family.
Avid Fisherman asked, does Caleb have a channel? He absolutely does. Just look up 903 Fishing on YouTube. You'll find him, Avid. I'm sure somebody will post a link up for us in chat, but you definitely want to check him out, Avid, because I know you like crappie fishing as well. So.
And lots of videos, and they're great content.
So, How much of a toll does it take to put a video out every week? That's pretty crazy.
A lot.
It's a lot of work.
My girlfriend gets mad at me. Let's put it that way.
Really?
I mean, yes and no. I've really learned to balance it. You know, it takes time. A lot of people, I've heard both ends of it. People think it's just, you know, you put a camera on your chest and you go fishing. That's very minimal. That's very small portion of it. You know, you got to go home. You got to upload the footage. You got to edit the footage. You got to upload the footage. You know, there's so much to go with YouTube to put out some quality content, and it takes time and effort.
You got to put fuel in the truck. You got to put fuel in the boat. You got to get the battery charged. You got to strap that GoPro on. Then you got to catch fish.
And then if you didn't remember to charge the battery in the GoPro, it's going to be a really short trip.
Hey, there is a lot to put in with it. There's a lot.
It is. People does not understand, or maybe they do understand and take it for granted, that the really successful channels and the guys that's growing put a lot of work in it. It's like having a job.
It's another full-time job.
It is.
You know, I already have a full-time job, and this is the second full-time job.
There's no side gig about it, is there?
No.
It's not a side gig one bit whatsoever.
No.
The hard way.
Hey, I got a couple other people we need to talk about in here. Jeremy Albritton has joined us, and Turner Fishing is back in here. We're so glad to see you guys. Thanks so much for jumping in chat. Jared O, Dennis, Northeast Missouri Angler. We're glad to have all you guys in here. Some of you has been on Panfish Nation before, and at least one of you needs to be on here in the future. So keep that in mind, Jeremy.
What's going on, Jeremy? How you doing? Hey, there's Trey over at Fishmack. How you doing, Trey?
It's a great video he had out this week also. I just got done watching it this morning and loved it. It was amazing. It's
on my to watch list. So what days are you putting your videos out on? You got a set day every week, Caleb?
Yes, every Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Central time.
Okay.
That's what I started with almost 24 months ago, and that's just what I've stuck with. Part of YouTube is being consistent, and I think they YouTube likes that consistency.
They do. So what's your weapon? What are your weapons of choice? What are you running? Rod, reel, line, and so on. What's your favorite setup to use when you're out there fishing? All right. Well, as most people know, if they watch the videos, I'm sponsored by ACC Crappie Sticks. So, and ACC has a variety of rods for almost any type of crappie fishing. I mean, for any type of crappie fishing, ACC has a specific rod for that type of crappie fishing. For dock shooting, I'm using a 6-foot ACC, 16th ounce jig head, 6-pound mono. And I usually pair my 6-footers with Shimano Sienna 500 series reels. If I'm slip corking, I'm using my 8-foot ACC Super Grip 10-pound Power Pro braid with that 8 to 10-pound mono leader. And I also have those paired with a Shimano Sienna 500 series as well. Now, when it comes to vertical jigging, I have a couple 10-footers, 11-footers, and 12-footers. I've come to realize that my favorite jigging rod from ACC is the 11-foot. Now, they're all great. They all work. For my preference is the 11-foot mid-seat, and I use 10-pound Power Pro braid on that as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it really just depends. You know, you always got to have a backup plan when you go fishing. I mean, I've went out dock shooting before, and they just weren't there. So luckily, I had the minnows and the 8-footers with me. Go find some brush to fish. So I don't ever go out and say, this is what I'm going to do. I always have a backup plan because you never know exactly what you'll be doing that day. Yeah, you won't know where they're at until you get out there. So that's right. They can move. Crappie are notorious for moving day to day.
I mean, you go pre-fish a tournament on a Friday and say, okay, this is where I'm starting off tomorrow morning or the day after. You go there and they're not there. I mean, crappie move, but they don't stay put for very long.
We got a question here from Northeast Missouri Angler. It says, do you find a leader is a must when vertical jigging or just dock shooting or corking?
Okay. I do not use a leader when I'm dock shooting. It's just 6 pound mono tied straight to the jig head. If I'm not using live scope, if I'm not on a buddy's boat with live scope, then I'm not using a leader. The reason why I would use a leader with live scope is because it adds that split shot. I either do a split shot with a leader or a slip weight, because on that live scope, and instead of seeing your jig fall, you're also seeing two items fall at once. So it's a lot easier to keep up on the screen. And then corking, I have to use a leader while I'm corking, because like I said earlier in the show, most of the time I'm fishing around structure. So that chance of getting hung up is always there. If it breaks, 90% of the time it's going to break off that mono leader. And all I have to do is just rig on that mono leader in the hook or the jig head.
I would like that. I'm going to have to try that. I would like to announce that Pontoon Jody has joined the trap, the chat, and our good friend Jason from Crappie Zilla is in there. So glad to see him join us tonight. Great guy with some great products.
Fly Guys TV's here too. Welcome.
Absolutely. Join 903 Fishing live show Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Time for your chance to win a free ACC crappie stick. Now, there's a great giveaway right there.
Now, that's it's the 8-foot ACC Super Grip, which, in my opinion, it's the most versatile ACC crappie fishing stick out there. It's great for beginners. You can vertical jig with it, you can cast with it, and you can slip cork with it. I mean, those are three things that you can do with that one rod, especially if you're not used to vertical jigging with a 10, 11, 12-foot rod. That 8-footer is long enough, but it's not too long for you.
I've yet to try their 8-footer. I do have a couple of their 7.5s, and the only reason why I went with the 7.5 is because I could fit it in the bed of my pickup truck on an angle without having taken it apart. So
there you go.
But I can see how that 8-foot would come in handy. I really do like a longer rod when casting, so I get a lot more distance, and the places I fish, I need to get out there to them. So. And I just started doing some vertical jigging with a 10-foot rod, and that's been a lot of fun. I think I'm addicted to that. So
it's the thump. It's the thump, Mark.
It's not just the thump; it's the whipping back of that rod and sitting there sticking right there, man.
I love it.
It's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I highly recommend it. It never gets old.
Matt wants to know: so, do you tie the leader below the slip cork?
Yes. I actually have. I have my slip cork set up, rigged up right here.
Sweet. Let me give you a solo layout.
Let me see. I gotta watch this ceiling fan, guys. All right. So
you don't want to pull a book.
Yeah, these 8-footers. Who I'm telling you. So let's just start off up top right here. I'm gonna try to stay in the screen for you guys. So here's my bobber stop right here. All right. Of course, this is what determines how deep you're fishing. I can move this bobber stop. If I want to fish 20 foot, my rod's 8 foot. I can kind of determine about how far I am using that rod as a measuring tool. And then I have a little bead right here. All right. This right here just guides that slip cork. Here is my slip cork. I use Como pear slip floats. I did use those big cigar type slip floats, but I've learned that these have less resistance to the crappie. If you ever have slip cork for crappie, when crappie hit that slip cork, it's usually one hit and then they slowly take it under. So I've learned that crappie can take this slip cork under a lot easier than that bulky pear float. I usually use a number 1.5 split shot right here. here's the barrel swivel. Now, don't make fun of my tag end right there. I ain't cut that off. But there's my barrel swivel. Let me get this in line. I have the 10-pound Power Pro braid to the barrel swivel. And then here is my 8-pound mono leader. I usually use a leader anywhere from, if I'm fishing shallower, especially in a creek, a log jam, my leader isn't so long. But if I'm fishing open water, deep brush piles, then I'm using 12 to 15 inch mono leader. The longer the leader, in my opinion, I hook my minnows in the tail so they have free range. The longer the leader, the less resistance that minnow has and can swim wherever he chooses to. And then this one's rigged up for minnows. I have a 2-aught crappie hook right here from Eagle Claw. It's an Aberdeen. But that is, my leader is definitely below the slip cord. So
Is your leader, it appears to be 12, 15 inches long. Is that accurate?
this one is probably about a foot. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This one's probably about a foot right here.
Yeah. Now, do you ever vary the length of your leader depending on where you're at?
Yeah. If I'm fishing in the creek, usually I'm fishing on top of log jams, so I don't want that leader. I don't want that minnow to have as much freedom, because that's the more chance that that minnow is going to get hung up under a log or something like that. But if I'm fishing, 15, 20 feet over deep brush piles on the main lake, then I'll go ahead and give that minnow a little more freedom, so he can move around as he wants to, so he can get those crappies' attention.
So would you go up to a 2-foot leader or more?
No, I'm probably going to stick to about a 15 to 18 inch leader. I had a video a couple weeks ago. I was fishing a foot deep with a slip cord, and a lot of people gave me flack for it, but I was fishing a foot deep and I had a leader on there that long.
Oh, wow.
Because I was fishing up right next to the bank, right under a root system of a tree. And several times I would get hung up, and I'd have to break my line instead of, anchoring up, driving the boat over there, getting it off, taking a chance of spooking the fish, because it's only a foot deep right at the bank. So I was just using that real small leader. I would break off, and all I would have to do was just reconnect that leader and that hook.
Well, if you're using them leaders, if you're catching them at a foot deep, you got to go up there with the boat. They're gone.
Definitely. They're in crappie.
You got to find another route.
Y'all know just as well as I do that crappie are some of the most finicky fish.
Oh, they are.
Oh man, they will run, especially from a trolling motor. They'll run.
I watched a video of yours the other day, Caleb, but you was fishing, I believe, the railroad bridge.
Okay.
And there was a bunch of structure pushed up next to the bridge piers and stuff.
Yes.
And you was fishing in and out both sides of that structure where that stuff had pushed up in there. And my God, you pulled out some giant crappie.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That was a great video.
I appreciate it. I guess I was there at the right day, right time. A day later, we had about a 4-inch rain coming in. And I actually went back there. I took a buddy back there 3 or 4 days after that big rain, and all the water had washed away that log jam.
Yeah.
And the crappie were not there. But I was using my 11-footer in that video. 11 foot, I was in the John boat, no electronics, just strictly going off of what I know. Those crappie were in there staging. All females. I actually caught my limit that day, all female crappie, and it was a blast. It was a blast. That was one of the best fishing days I've had in a long time, and it was straight, feeling the thump. And man, you can't beat days like that right there. Those are the days. Those are the days that a lot of people wait for right there.
Absolutely. Abbott says, do you offset your hooks? I know that's what he meant by that.
Offset my hooks in what way?
Bend the point of them out away from the shank any at all?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, sir.
I didn't think that you did on those smaller hooks, but some people I'm sure does. And that, yeah, he redone it down here that he offsets your hooks, and I couldn't imagine you doing it. I think I would have picked that up in some of your videos as much of them as I watched if you had been.
Hey, Kid, what was the brand name of that float? Because I'm going to have to try some of them, because I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of slip floats, but it's basically for the reason you explained that those seem to solve. So I'll be able to try them out if you got the name for me.
Camels, ain't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's just symmetrical. It's very symmetrical, you know. Like I said, I used to use those big cigar type floats. I mean, I liked them because I could see them, for one. I used to have a lot of trouble staying still in the boat, because especially if I'm by myself in a little 14-foot John boat in wide open lake on 25 foot of water, it's hard for me to. I drop anchor, but then I'm a pretty big dude. I'm 260 pounds. So once I drop front anchor and then go to the back, the boat's sitting like this. So I'm kind of just flowing all over the place. So I would use those bigger corks so I could see if I happen to drift off, or, you know, I just made it work. But these are it right here.
Cool. I'll have to check them out.
Walmart, I believe it's $1.56 for 3.
Man, I'm paying $3.50, $3.90 for thulls now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Como. Now you can get these. You can get these on the internet. You can buy them in bulk. I want to say you can buy 25 of them for about $12.
That sounds right up Lyle's alley, because he buys everything in bulk.
I do if I can get it that way.
You have no clue.
If I want it once, I'll want it again. You know what I mean?
Lyle, we're going shopping after the show. Get your credit card ready. We're going to see if we can melt that.
Mine's filled up. We'll have to use yours.
So you do a little white bass fishing, or you guys call them sandies down there, right?
Sand bass, sandies. Yes, that's what I have always. Honestly, I've never heard of the term white bass until I got on YouTube.
That's us Yankees.
I worked in the Dallas-Fort Worth area back in the 1980s, and then we moved to a little town called Ballinger, and I helped a guy open up a Ford dealership down by kind of in a triangle between San Angelo and some of them towns down there. And I would go out and get parts, and the parts guy said, "Hey, if you're from north of the Red River, you're a Yankee." I said, "How do you figure?" He said, "Well, let me rephrase that. If you ain't from Texas, you're a Yankee." And I thought, I was pretty young. He would just rag on me all the time about that. He was a good dude, though.
So you were saying about the white or the sand bass?
Yes, sir. Now our white bass run down here is basically over. All the white bass have basically migrated back to the main lake. But usually a first little run happens probably late January. I mean, a lot of people don't know about the early run. They think it's too cold and that they won't go. But my first white bass fishing video this year, I went after school one evening, 35 degrees. That's cold for me. That's cold.
It was 38 degrees this morning, Caleb, here.
Do what?
It was 38 degrees this morning here, Caleb.
The low here was like 65.
That's perfect.
That was like 50 years for a low.
And I caught about 20 to 25 white bass when it was 35, 36 degrees in the evening. But white bass fishing down here is pretty darn good. I know it can be really good some other places as well, but you know, once you find them schooled up, it's game on. I love it. That white bass thump is different from the crappie thump. It's just a little bit different. Those white bass are a little bit more aggressive in my opinion.
It's a little sharper of a thump, definitely.
It is.
And you'll catch more of them a little. They fight harder, don't they?
They do. Oh,
yeah.
100%.
They do for me.
I use my little 6-foot ACC with I think last year I used 6-pound mono, but I'm down here the hybrids like to run with the white bass. So we're talking 6 to 10 pound hybrids on 6-pound mono, and I think I had a couple of them break me off last year. So this year I stuck with 8-pound mono, and that seemed to do me a little better as far as catching those bigger fish. I didn't break off as much.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have a run. I got one lake. Our river has them, but they're not very big. I fish the Fox, but one of the local state parks here has a pretty good stock population, and they're pretty big. There's no run, but if you get like I got on a pile of them last week. They were 3 feet tall and 20 feet long. You could see them on my Garmin. It was like clear as day, and they're like
amazing image.
Inches. They were nice. That was a good time.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
That was an
What do y'all use to catch them up there? I'm curious.
I had a lot of good luck on a couple of hand ties I got from Shamalures, Howard over at Shamalures, and then I was using a small like quarter ounce blade bait. They were working really good.
Wow.
But I was vertical jigging the hand tie, and I was actually I backed off a little bit and casted that blade bait to them, and they to tell you the truth, they liked that blade bait so much I lost that damn thing after a few fish. So it was pretty. Yeah, they were pretty mean. That was a good time.
Anything shiny, rooster. I used to use rooster tails down here a lot. When I first started white bass fishing, a rooster tail was the go-to. But a lot of our little creeks and rivers that they run up, there's logs everywhere. Like if you find a hole to cast and you catch one, you have to hit that same hole every time or you'll get hung up. So I've actually started to go more towards the plastic side. White Ice Fluke Juniors, the White Ice Fluke Juniors and the 3-inch curly grubs from Yum. That is what I've been the past 3 years or so. Man, and those rooster tails have gotten up to be about almost $3 a piece.
Yeah.
So every time you would lose one, it's like, man, I just threw away $3, and you can buy a pack of those Zoom flukes, for about that a little over $3 now. But you're getting 10 of them. I've caught 15 to 20, 25 white bass on one fluke junior. So that's I definitely went more towards the soft plastic side.
You know what? Almost every fish will bite on anything with a split tail like that's on a fluke. For some reason, it drives them crazy. I don't know what it is, but everything from walleye to crappie to other bass, anything pike. For some reason, I like that split tail on those flukes.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I'm not using the split tail. I'm using the paddle tail.
Using a paddle tail? Yeah, I do pretty good walleyes with them too.
How long is that, Caleb?
This is about 3.5 inches.
Can you show it to us again?
Yeah, it's about 3.5 inches right here. White Ice Fluke Junior from Zoom. This paddle tail, I love throwing it and bringing it back to me against the current. I mean, very, very slow reel. I have quite a bit of white bass fishing videos I got a few white bass fishing videos. I mainly crappie fish, like I had said earlier, but I always have to get out there and catch me some white bass. It is so fun. You get into them, and it's just almost every single cast, you're feeling that thump. And like we had said, though, they fight just a little bit more aggressive than that crappie. And on some 8-pound mono 6-foot rod, they give you a run for their money.
Johnny Ramsey says, have you ever used spoons?
No.
Okay.
I have not.
Well, they're really shiny.
They are shiny.
We have some Foley spoons that we use to catch skipjack on. Probably one of the best skipjack lures on the market.
Oh, wow.
Well, I like to set up a sabiki rig with either a regular sabiki rig or hand ties and put one on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you only catch one, it's usually on that spoon.
Wow.
Man over at Want to Be Outdoors is saying crappie magnet paddle tails. So the crappie tear those up. I didn't know crappie magnet made paddle tails.
I did not either. That's
weird.
I didn't know that either.
Matt, send me a link, buddy. We may be going shopping after this, Lyle.
Get that credit card out. I'll help you max her out.
I'm going to use yours, Dad.
Yeah, mine's full. Mine is full. Cabela's has some looking paddle tails, hoochie coochie, and shad work killer here in North Carolina.
So you keep any of the fish you're catching, Caleb?
Oh yes, for sure. I try to have fish once a week, crappie once a week, and I also I am a school teacher. I teach kind of in a low economic based area, so I have a lot of students and families that are in need. So a lot of the times, I go through the neighborhood, and here you go.
That's outstanding.
And I've several times on the channel, I've given away fish, especially if I go back to the boat ramp and I see a family 4, 5, 6, and I'll ask them how they're doing. They don't have any fish. I mean, I have fish in the freezer, so it's not a thing to me to try to help somebody out. So, I mean, that's just I was raised that way. If I can help, I'm gonna help you. So.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I'm glad you told us that, because I wanted to touch on the fact that you're a PE teacher in a grade school. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, sir. Kindergarten through 5th.
God bless you, man.
I love it. I really do love it. I really do. You know, just like any job, you could just, you're ready to go that day. But
Sure.
I mean, I really love it. I don't know. It's my passion. I went to school for it, played college baseball, got my degree, and I didn't know for the longest time what I wanted to do. But one day I just decided to start taking, elementary education classes, and this is where it has led me.
Awesome.
A lot of my kids, my students, they watch my videos. It's all clean. It's all family orientated. The family could sit down and watch it on the TV. And a lot of them tell me they do. So they tell me all the time, hey, Mom had your video on the TV last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, those my students see me giving away those fish. They see me helping. So I'm hoping that will equivalent or drop down to them as well. So
Yes. Maybe when they grow up and get to be the next Caleb, and they're making videos and bringing in a fish or two, they'll pass that along to the
right.
next generation. That's just so cool. It's unbelievable. I really hats off to you for that, man. I got to ask you though one question that always sticks in my mind.
Okay.
Is there a more special person in the world than the guy that drives a school bus or gal?
You know what? I coached junior high and high school for the longest, I say longest time. For the first 4 or 5 years of my career, I drove a bus. I drove a bus route.
Oh,
and I did. I coached high school. I've coached junior high. And I mean, it's a very serious topic. A lot of people don't understand, the pressure that goes along with that. You're carrying 40, 50, kids on that bus, and it's not that you don't trust yourself. It's just like you would in your vehicle. Do you trust the other drivers around you? So
yeah,
it's really, you got to be really careful with everybody's babies on there. I mean, it's a lot of pressure getting back.
Yeah. Responsibility there.
Yeah, it is.
Certain.
It very much is.
Got some kind words from Frank over at Twisted Fishing TV. He says, that is awesome, bro. It was a teacher like you that helped me when I was a child.
I remember days like that. We had a football coach that was started us in football. We was in junior high, and we was his first teaching class.
Oh wow!
And Jack is now gone. He was in an accident on a farm up in Iowa where he grew up, and he ended up passing away from that. But I never forgot Jack Couchman. He was a great coach. He ended up my second year in playing football in high school. the guy that was football coach quit, and Coach Couchman come over, and he finished up our high school tour also. And we was very successful under him. Everybody thought the world of him, would have done anything for him. And a lot of the guys stayed in contact with him and his wife, Linda, after the fact. I have not, however, but well, I didn't know that he went back to Iowa, where he grew up. But like I say, he was in a tractor accident and passed away here a few years ago. But you never forget a guy like that. And them kids growing up with you, Caleb, they'll never forget you.
Good on you. I have a man like that in my past. His name was Edward Zink. He was a real good guy. Him and my grandfather were big influences, and I was influenced through fishing both ways. So you're doing the right thing, and
I agree.
Your legacy will carry on, and someone will be talking about you like you do them. So good for you.
I hope that they grow up and there's 2 or 3 of them kids that you're helping now that will say, "Hey, I had a guy, and I want to be just like him when I grow up." That would, to me, that would be a goal that is irreplaceable. And what you're just being a school teacher, dude, that's a heck of a job. And if you love it like you do, good on you, man.
I greatly appreciate you guys. I really feel like that's what God has called me to do. So it's great to wake up most mornings, and love your job. It's kind of like they say, if you love your job, you're not really working. So
I agree with that. I really do.
I do. And
Hey,
God has blessed me with with doing this YouTube, and I feel like He's this is how He's wanting me to share about Him too as well. So
absolutely. Mark, have you got the giveaway tool pulled up by chance?
No, we can get her pulled up here in like 2 seconds.
I want to talk to people for just a second, not to take away from Caleb, but this week we had a little adventure out catching some bluegill, and Cindy and I was on a dock trying to catch some bait, and there was a group of boys out there from Lakeland, and they had 2 adults that was with them, and they was just wearing out the bluegill where we was trying to catch bluegill. They was using worms and corks and stuff and just having the biggest time, and we was laughing at them more than we was really trying to catch bait. But we caught a few bluegills, and this is what we was catching them on. This is part of the spring collection. It's a maroon head, 1/64 ounce jig with a black body and red tails on it, squiggler tails, and we might give us some of them away here when Mark gets that pulled up. And we have a new sponsor to the show that sent us a bunch of them. It's ZFG Fishing, and this is some of the stuff that he has sent for us to give away, and we'll give a package of those away, and some of the ones. I just tied these, Caleb. Take a look at them, see what you think.
Is that like a gray ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah, we love gray ghost hand ties.
These are just brand new. I haven't got a chance to try them yet, but I am going to do that.
Those look really nice.
Hopefully this week. Thank you.
So if you're new to the program, you need to enter in # Panfish Jigs, like it says up there. You'll be entered to win. We'll do a random draw from that, but in order to be entered, you have to be a subscriber, and you also have to have that entered, just like future Mrs. 903 Fishing has.
Absolutely. Now, Caleb, is there anything particular that you'd like to visit about before we close the show out? Because we're going to be closing it out here in the next 5 minutes or something like thereabouts.
No, not really. I appreciate you for reaching out, Lyle, man. I greatly appreciate it, brother. I have watched a few of your videos in the past as well. So catfish and crappie. I remember watching you when I first started YouTube.
Really?
I did watch a little bit. I did. People got to understand, when you're into this YouTube thing, you're so busy fishing, editing, replying back to your own, content and stuff. It's hard to just sit down and watch another creator. I mean, it is for me. But I do try to watch as much as I can. But I just want to thank you guys for letting me on here. This has been awesome, and I hope y'all have me back one day.
You know what? I would give you an invitation that anytime that you have something pertinent or you just feel like you need to be on here, you just give us a call and we'll put you on here. I've had a wonderful time with you on here tonight. You're a great guest. You do a lot of wonderful things for the community. And dude, you catch a ton of fish.
Yeah. And Caleb Lyle just beat me to you. That's all. So we'll get. Hopefully, you'll spend a little time with me in the upcoming months. I'd appreciate it if you did. So.
Yeah, let me know, Mark. I'd be more than
Cool.
welcome.
And if I'm ever down in Texas, I'll look you up. And if you're ever up, I don't know why you'd ever be up here, but if you're up near me, come on by. We'll take good care of you.
All right, sounds great.
From the sounds of what the missus said, I'm guessing it will never be in the wintertime. She doesn't like cold weather.
No. Hey, I tell you what, guys, it gets below 60 degrees. She's out.
I can relate.
She's out.
Like I say, back in the 80s, I spent some time in Texas. And one of the reasons I didn't care for down there, it's so ungodly hot in the summertime.
All right, folks, go ahead and enter that in. Hashtag Panfish Jigs, just like it shows on the screen. You'll be entered in to win the prize that Lyle's offering up here. This is probably going to be last call. We're going to draw this in just a couple of minutes, so make sure you get your name in there to enter.
We'll do two of them. We'll do one from me and one from ZFG.
That ZFG's a new company, isn't it, Lyle?
It's a new startup, and once you guys pick this out, I'm pretty sure you'll know the guy. But we're going to leave it at that for now.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
It'll be a surprise to everyone.
We got a Just Fishing out there. They're entered into the drawing. Pretty cool. You enter in just once, and it'll put your name in there. If you enter it in multiple times, it only counts you one. Johnny Ramsey's in on it. Mrs. 903 can get in on it too. She doesn't need to.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, actually, she was the first one in. She knows how it's played.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do the same giveaway format on.
Oh, you do? Okay, so there we go. We got people. Everybody's
it's easy and it's random. I mean,
yeah,
it's fair.
It's fair. Fair.
I think it's the most fair way to do them.
I used to do I'd write a number down right here, and then people started accusing me of this and that, and I'm like,
yep. We done random.org for a long time, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Somebody is not always happy about it, but this way it's taken completely out of your hands, and whatever name comes up, it just comes up.
I agree.
Cool. So you ready, Lyle, to do this?
I am.
All right, we're gonna let her rip. There we go. Good luck, everybody. Rams bait
and tackle.
San Antonio, Texas. Ram's a good dude. Congratulations, Ram.
All you have to do is just send me a message after the show. You can either send it to me on my personal Facebook Messenger, or you can send it to Panfish Nation, or you can email me at Catfish Weekly TV or Lyle at panfishnationtv@gmail.com. Too many of them to remember.
Congratulations. So we ready to do another one, Lyle?
We are.
All right, we'll draw again. There we go for the second one.
And you never know. I might throw a couple extra in as we go. Crappie Day fish on.
Way to go, Crappie Day.
Be sure to message me also, and we'll get these things right out to you.
Cool.
Right out to you. If you guys have any questions for Caleb before we leave, now would be the time to get them in there so we can get them answered for you. And if we don't, we're going to be cutting out of here in just a few minutes. We're at an hour 10. And again, Caleb, it's been a great pleasure having you on here. You're extremely knowledgeable, and I've enjoyed having you on here very much. I know Mark has. And like I say, if there's ever anything we can do for you as far as helping you promote your channel, your stuff, or videos, just let me know, or post them up on Panfish Nation's thing, web Facebook page, and go ahead and do it, because hey, we'll help you any way we can, and appreciate you coming on here, and we would love to have you back.
I greatly appreciate it, fellas. I will definitely be back. I will.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's the biggest crappie you ever caught?
2.5.
2.5. That's a giant.
That's my PB. It was before YouTube. I think I have a picture of it on my iCloud somewhere. But it's been years.
Yeah.
I've caught a couple 2.1s, 2.2s, maybe a 2.3. I'm very excited about this summer. Actually, I have a trip planned to go to Grenada Lake in Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I'd like to do that.
I actually have a guide that's going to take me out. Let me shoot a little video for his guide service. And now he said he could almost promise me if I was to have came, post spawn, pre spawn, he could almost guarantee me that 3-pound crappie because Lake Grenada is home of the 3-pound crappie.
Yeah.
But he said during the summer, those fish get a little skinnier, they get a little more finicky. But he did, he promised me some toads. So I'm going out there at the end of June, beginning of July. So I'm really excited about that trip. It should be a great time. So hopefully we can break my PB there.
Looking forward to see. We passed several years ago that him and his wife used to go to Grenada Lake after goose season and duck season was over.
Mm-hmm.
He'd get down there in January, stay for 3 months every spring.
Wow.
They had a big fifth wheel and they just rented a spot year round and left it there. Even though they was only there for the first 3 months of the year,
Wow.
He left it down there until he passed away. And he used to tell me stories of that lake. It's an amazing place to fish.
It's definitely a bucket list lake.
Yep.
Yes, for me.
They're the minimum here in Texas to keep is 10 inches. The minimum over there is 12. So
Holy crap.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if all lakes are that way in Mississippi, like if that's a state thing. I don't know how it works from state to state, but in Texas, a 12-inch crappie, that's a great eater. I mean, that is an awesome eater. You get up to the
it's a monster around these parts.
Yeah.
You get up to the 14, 15-inch crappie over here. That's what we call a hog,
Yeah.
And, I think the longest crappie I've ever caught was close to 17.
That's a giant.
Close to 17.
That's a giant.
It looks like the future missus is looking forward to that trip too.
She is going with me. So she's definitely going to break her PB. I think her PB is a 1.78. Now, guys, she ain't been fishing but a year. She caught her first fish when we started dating, and so I think she'll probably throw it out there, but I think it's a 1.78 is her PB. So
awesome.
I'm almost certain she will break that on Grenada.
Awesome.
That is great.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Caleb. I really appreciate you spending the time with us, and I am definitely going to reach out to you in a while here and see if I can't pester you to come on my show one day.
Awesome. Sounds great, brother. Just let me know.
All
Mark,
right.
do you have anything for closing statements tonight?
No, Catfish and Crappie will be live Monday night at 8 p.m. We're putting together a show now. We'll be back in the saddle again. Looking forward to that. And, of course, Catfish Weekly right on before. And the week after that, we're going to be doing all our shows live from where, Lyle?
Mendota Lake in Madison, Wisconsin. Can't wait to get there.
Really looking forward to that. We'll be doing some live streaming on my channel. I'll be making a ton of videos that whole week. So hopefully I can get my 35-pound channel cat. You notice I've changed it from 30.
Yours just keeps growing.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
I caught a 29.9. All I'm wanting to do is get over the 30-pound mark, and you're up to 35 now.
Well, I figure if I shoot really high and I get chances of getting at 30 are a little better that way. So
I hope that's right. I hope everybody catches a 30-pound channel cat, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a blast. And I'm going to take some dock shooters and some ice fishing rods and a fly rod to catch them on. So
I'm gonna even make some time to chase some of them crappie while I'm up there. So
yeah, I want one of them yellow bass or yellow perch.
we'll get on. All right, guys.
Thanks everybody for watching.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks so much, Caleb. We'll see y'all next week.
Y'all have a good one.